Okay, right. Monochrome, are you ready?
I am indeed.
Right then, let's make a start. The notices went out early and we have what I think I can only describe as a goodly audience here. A good folk.
Yes, thank you all so much for coming.
And this is a first for us. This is the first time we've had a presentation that is partly in Old English, and I have to tell you, I'm very excited about it. My Anglo-Saxon is appalling, but fortunately, if you click on the book to the left of the stage that says Beowulf, you will get a rather wonderful modern English translation of the key passages that are going to be read. So make sure you have a copy, unless, of course, you are totally fluent in Old English, which is entirely possible. I'd just like to add this: the event is in voice, so please turn off sounds, music and media so you'll hear it best. And also, I'd like to remind you all that this event is being held in support of Relay for Life. There is a kiosk also to the left stage, and we would be grateful for any donations you care to give for this. Right, so with all that being said, I am going to hand over to Monochrome Mama, and we can listen to her talk.
Fantastic. All right. Yes, hello. I am Monochrome Mama. You can also call me Jinx, as my friends and family do. I am incredibly thrilled to actually be the sponsor of this year's LitFest. I'm very, very honored and so happy to have all of you here. Very quickest plug. I run the roleplay sim Empire of Crowns, so if anybody is looking for some good medieval fantasy, please come check us out. But with all of that, let's begin. As Sophia said, if you don't have a copy yet, please click the book on the corner of the stage to get a read-along of the sections I will be presenting. It has the English translations as well as a short summary of everything that I am going to be presenting. Now, these readings from Beowulf are not quite what you might expect. And I am so sorry, Sophia, but they do not discuss entirely our typical friendly woodland creatures, but rather beasts and animals of a more fantastical nature. The things of fairy tales and of nightmares, and the mythological basis of a great many characters, creatures, and tropes that have echoed down through the ages to shape our modern literature. So listen closely. Words and terms that we use even here at Fantasy Fair are born in the pages of this epic, either fully formed or hinting at what they will grow into. Now, the reading I'm starting with is not a direct mention of creatures or animals, but it is integral to the poem itself, being its opening lines. For me, this is as iconic a speech as "In the hole in the ground there lived a hobbit," which is unsurprising, as Tolkien drew a great deal of his inspiration from this very poem. But that is not quite what we are here to discuss. The first lines of this epic, like many do, set not the immediate scene of the poem, but rather the history and background of it, set in the land of modern-day Denmark. These lines tell the ancestry leading up to Hrothgar, one of the story's main characters. Hrothgar is the king who builds the ill of fortune but glorious meadfall of Heorot. Those first lines discuss the first great king of his line, Shield Shefing, or Shield Sheafson. And again, Old English is not my specific first language, so if I stumble, please forgive me. I also actually want to give a disclaimer that if you're expecting in Shakespeare, this is not it. Provide English translations for a reason. This is a completely different language. But as I said, listen closely, because there are some pretty familiar words in there. All right. Wait. We garden an jargum, Theo kinga frum je frunon, Håte erlingas ellen fremedon. Oft skyl chef skedena thrattum managon megdum, Medotsela oftea, exore erlas, Suthan eresworth, Feshift funden, Hedas frofreya bad, Wex under woknum, Wermectum fa, Othat, him egelig hada, setindra, of an onrade, Heron shoulder, Gomben gilden. That was good, Koenig. It is close to the language of fantasy, so you're not too far off. All right. The next section will be reading our lines 90 through 130. The first attack of Grendel. Now, after establishing his own name and greatness, Hrothgar, the king aforementioned, builds the also aforementioned Heorot, great hall to act as the seat of his kingdom, not knowing the danger that lurked nearby. Soon enough, the story tells us, the constant sound of music and laughter from the constant banquets awakens a demon sleeping in the marshes, the first terror of epic poetry, Grendel. He is described as dwelling amongst other creatures a little bit more familiar to us, orcs and elves and even giants. The demon attacks Heorot, killing 30 men in one foul blow before vanishing once more into the night. Thas Elengast, erfochlika, traga jetholode, sete in tishrumbad, that hedogra, jewam dream jehirde, huldene in helle, there was harpensweg, swutuleseng shopas. Sege set kute frumschaft fira, feron rekan, que thatse elmichtiga, erthan werte, lite bjorhitne, swa, wet no beribeth, Gasutas sehrering sunan an moron, leoman to leo te landvedum. Und ihre gratbare Fuldan schetos, leomom und levum, liv akjushop, kunne je wilkum thare je kvike hiraf. Svata driskuman dremam liftum, egalikte, åtat on ongen, fera fremmen fond on helle. Was grämmer gatst, Grendel hatten. Mere merkstappa, sed morosjul, fen und festen, fifelsenes erd, wonseli, wir dode wil. Sitan tim skipen for skiffen hafte, en kanes kuna thon kvelmirach, driften de es hi ebelslog. Nej, jeffe hi there, fete, ach hi hine för wach, mekon för man kunna fram, thanan utredas, ele on wokon, ertonas, on ilfe, on orknias. Svilke egentes, thawith gode, wonon langa thranga, hi him las lien for geld. Reatsa neosian, Suthan nicht bekommen, Kernhuses, Hutte drickendene, Afer björnan jebunhafton, Fande in ätinga jedricht, Svefand under simle, Sörne nekuthum. Weshaft wera, Victun hero grimun gredo. Jero sonne was rekt, und räthe, und raste genom fritingräno, fan on efter jag varit huta hremming to han för han med thara välfulle, vikta nösan. So, Grendel's rampage begins. And for 12 long years, he returns night after night, until the once great hall lay empty, and news of the terror there had spread all across the world. Hrothgar sat alone in Harrowrot, heartbroken for what had happened, until a great hero of Gateland, what is now southern Sweden, hears of the tale and sets forth to defeat this monster once and for all. Beowulf comes to face Grendel. With the blessing of Hrothgar, and after a night of feasting, Beowulf beds down to wait. Just as he had for 12 years, Grendel once more returns to the hall. But Beowulf has stayed awake amongst the sleeping guards, and when Grendel reaches down to snatch him up, Beowulf strikes the fiend, grabs him in return. Great battle ensues, with all the Geats and Beowulf charging arm and sword at Grendel, as the great lord himself holds the creature in arm lock. Until, with the strength of his bare hands, the warrior rips Grendel's arm off at the socket. Defeated, Grendel flees back to his lair and perishes from his wounds. And a sip of ale to wet the throat. You know what mentions a mead hall? Unfortunately, I'm actually allergic to honey, so I can't partake in the mead. But that's okay. We have substitutes. Right. Kom han vandre nicht. Skret an Shadowganga. Sköten swaffen. Thatat honrekt hillen skjolden. Hela båten anam. Dat was gjeldum koth. That hinne mosta. The metod nulle. Se shun shata under skedubregan. Ach hiva kende rathum an adan bad borgen mod. Medaba githnes. Daar kom af mor, under mist lothum, Grendelgongen. Godes, urber, muntesche man shatha manakunas, sumne besurwan in seletham herrn, word under wurkunum. Tothes the he win reched, gul sela jumena, jervost visa fastnum fane, navas that forme seth that he Hrothgar is hamgeshote. Nafrehe arder dagum, nisitan herdan hala, helten asfand. Kom the rachades ringsithian, drumum beleded. Durusan vornum, furbedum fast, suthan, he heruth forma jegran onvad, the belohedig, the hirolbian was rek smoothan. Rethe after thon, han fegne flor von treode, hode urmod him of egum stod, lier jelikost lecht hun feger. Esa he en rechre rinkavanaga, swefan sivejer sama rätkare mjago rinkekap. Da his mor along munta that he gerarad. Thon de como atul arjeka andra juelkis if vid like tha him alpemin west wheel fulle wen. Nevas that yerad wen that he ha moste manakunis thigen offer the nicht. Thrid swid behöldet mag herkes huse man schafe under vergripnum jarfere wood. Ne that he see arjeka uldan thothe. Ach hiefing rath forman site slafenderink slatun werdum batban loka blod edrum drank. Shin shadem sverk sona hafte unfyllde jag iformed fätan fulme. Or nere stop tham med handa hiet inna rink on röste. Rakte onjen feong med fulme on fäng flera hin with hankum on with erm gesatt. Såna that hon fonde förhörde that henne met middan herdas, earthan shetan eran men, mundgreppe meran, hion mode werth, forthon fethere. No hi arfar meta, hia was him hunfus, wolde on hel fleon, sekton dulfeirag. Ne was his droppet there, svurke on hi elderlagum, gemeta. Jemida, the saga mirka hirkreas, afen sprekker, upplang stod on him feste weekfe, fingran berston. Petan was utwerd, full stop, vinna gemera, there he met a swa, herhin der, Eridan, hon vägthonen, flen on fenhopu, vista his fingre geweld, on gremon grapum. That was ye sith that he herem shachta to hirtura etea. Drit said it to the denum erum werth hester gebudum jervacum erlum elus sherkan ureboren bejen ren verdas reker hursade there was wunder Michael that se vin sele with hande hetero deum the he on herion no full per bull. Tachte faste was innan unertum aiorn bendum sero thonken besmitht. Thar from Seleachbek, medubenk monig, mine je frue, golde je keren, da je greman wonon. This new eldan, wheat and shieldinga that heat a merge mette, mana anig, betlich on banfag tobrichte methe. Liksom torken noem sig les färre svöljen i ons svethong. Sve op anstag, vi niwe, jeha. Nor den stod, axlek esa, handra je welkom, thara af de orfje hörven, grerel jord, godes ansakten, segelans seng, sarvanigen helle hafton. Held hinna faste, så de manna was manage strongest on dam luses liefes. Nolde, höra helo arga thina, thone kverkman kuman, skika forlatan, ne hi liv dagas led igman, nute tölde. Thar, geno hosprath, Beowulfes elderatse, volde fredrifnes, for elien marathédenes, that he menat the swa, ni hewissun, tha he wain drugan, hier je hier hilde meknos, ond on hirfa, he wona hewan thoughton. Swale sekan, thon shunken stata, anig afer erathan kust. Gotha bila nan greta nulle, ach hissia wipnum for svoren hafte, jerker hirkun. Sjode his erdo jedel an dem deathis his liefdes, mich wirthan, onse erogast on fönda gewald for sieta. Thatat unfunda sede felle arhor modes murtha mene kenne, Före je fremde, he fag with God, that him se lichasten nulde, ach hine se mulde heg, heerlach, la halte bevonda, ja wat her ontrum, setelath, i lise de lath, lichsar je bad, akrol ager, him hon axer worth, sindur svetul, swena on sprongen berst in van lokan, Beowulf worth, gruth retifere, Skjoldgrendel thonan fölelsok, flon under fen hetum, second winless west, wiste the yergor at his audre west ende yenagon dagre. Den med elem worth after, dan var eras ville hjälpa nun. Haffe the hjälpesod, se de foron kom småtor hon serve, serach rathgar, jened with nite, nich jere jefek, ered marlum, haffe istodum gret merkelob liplestald, swilka ontake, hele je vete in svegde sorge, ich hier high drugon offner, thea tholian shulden torn unite, that was thashen swetul, suthen hilthen dior, hond ejeled, erum, und axele there was yerdo grandes grapnum under yipne froth. That was a long one. Another one of my favorite lines. It is Lynx. I am trying hard. The end of that is another, as I said, one of my favorite lines. Clear proof of the victory could be seen in the hand the hero displayed high up near the roof. The whole of Grendel's shoulder and arm, his awesome grasp. Well, links, if you have not clicked the book in the center, though, I've got an entire follow-along with all of the English translations, so you can do your best to try and keep up. In that turn, for those who have the note card,